If you have played Ranked for a bit this season, you may have noticed something around the profile picture or the portrait of your god, being a border. And a lot of people keep asking me, Duke, what does this border around my god mean? What does it stand for? And in this video I will try to explain that as good as possible, considering that there is no real actual factual information on it, how it works precisely, but rather just some estimations, some approximations, and some factors that factor in. So, what are the god leaderboards? Players will now be able to see how they compare against other players when playing a specific god. After 5 qualifying games with a god, this means qualifying games playing that god, it doesn't have to be your qualifiers, just you have to play 5 ranked games with that god. You will be placed on the god leaderboard and will be able to see how you stand up against other players. Depending on your placement, you will be placed in one of 3 tiers. This placement will appear around you in the lobby once you have selected a character you are ranked with. The odd thing is that there are actually more than 3 tiers. There's a gold tier, there's a platinum tier, there's a diamond tier, and there's a masters tier. I'm not quite sure if there's also a silver tier, I doubt it, but we had 4 tiers actually, at least. So with these placements that we have a bit of an overview of what exists, but now how does it actually work? How do people get placed? There was a post on that a while ago. Unfortunately, I can't find that anymore. I feel like the answer may have been deleted. But the core information in this was that there are 3 different factors playing into how somebody gets placed. And as far as I recall that, and I think that's correct, it's the player's rank, so the player's placement in rank that he has beforehand, meaning a, say, Grandmasters player would have to play less well and less games with a character to get placed higher. The game result, so if it's a win or a loss, obviously a win helps you climb higher and get a better rank with that particular god and therefore a better frame. And I think the third one, that's the one I'm not 100% sure about, is game performance, so how you actually played in the games, how your stats were, how your slash line throughout the game was, your kill, death, assist ratio. And that probably gets weighed against other players playing the same god, because otherwise you would have very different slash lines between characters. And as this is a leaderboard per god, that actually makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you want to see how your Ymir performs against other Ymirs in terms of the game performance as well. So you have these 3 different factors that kind of play a role in how you get placed. Now, the problem is, or where it starts to get wonky, is how much does this actually mean? And spoilers ahead here, it doesn't mean much. You can be diamond on a god, like you can have the diamond frame and you can still be bad at the god. You can actually very easily get frames very early after only playing a few games. You can literally only play a god in your qualifiers, and your qualifier matches for ranked. And if you have a decent performance in that game, you can actually get to at least platinum already, if not diamond, just by playing there. Maybe even to masters, or whatever is considered masters by these frames. Now, how do we know the system is so wonky, or what do we know about how this placement works, and why do I say that you shouldn't give it much value? Well, these stats here basically indicate everything that I said before. This was posted by Anshadow on Twitter. Great guy, by the way, check him out. He plays Duel a lot, and in Duel he played Shang-Kui for a few games. And what you can see here is the top player leaderboard for Shang-Kui, a god leaderboard for Shang-Kui. We have 4 players here. We have Anshadow, Jordi, Funkbot, and Chick Gamer. What we'll see here is the highest win rate in terms of just pure wins is actually on the 4th place, it's actually Chick Gamer. The person with the highest amount of wins by far is Funkbot. And then in the 2nd place we have Jordi, who is behind Chick Gamer in win rate, but still ahead of Anshadow, who is the 1st. And that's kinda weird if you look at it this way. Obviously, what factors in a lot here is that Anshadow has the highest rank in Duel out of these players, or the highest hidden elo at least. So he will get more points for that particular win. But does that really justify these results? In my opinion, it hardly gives you any indication. The player here that really plays this god extensively is Funkbot. The player that plays this god really successfully for quite a while is Chick Gamer. But for all I know, I don't know their placements. They could be in much, much lower placements, so their wins count a lot less. But the fact that Anshadow and Jordi can just play a few games on the god, and because they have decent win rates, not even the highest in case of Anshadow, they get the highest placement. And that's pretty damn weird to me. That's a pretty weird way of putting these placements. Obviously, once again, there are multiple factors factoring into it. So they may have had much better performances. Funkbot may have had matches that are very close and get rated lower because of that. So that could play a role. The one thing that we can definitely tell from this is that by far the player rank overall is prioritized over the god in itself specifically, because otherwise Jordi would be ahead of Enshadow and Chick Gamer would be ahead of Jordi. And that strikes me as a little odd, because I can see why a high-performing player on a high level on a specific god is very good on that god, but if somebody is very successful on a god in medium or medium-high ranks, then I would not discredit that player if he invests a lot more time into playing the character. So what this comes down to is the algorithm for these placements is really, really weird. We know what factors in, but we don't know how much it is weighed, aside of the fact that the rank is apparently rated the most, the overall player rank. And that already makes it feel a little strange to me, because I think that you should at least factor in a lot of games played as well, like Funkbot did here. As such, you now know how these placements work, and you should probably also know that you shouldn't give them all too much value. They can be a nice frame, nice looking frame, but as an indication of skill, they really don't seem to tell you much at all. Sometimes it's even so glitched that there are players with a diamond frame between Masters players. So even though there's a Master player above and below that player, it's a diamond player in between in terms of the rankings. Another thing that absolutely doesn't make any sense. With that, thank you guys for watching. I hope this was insightful. I hope this explained it as good as possible. Like I said, more information is unfortunately available. If you enjoyed this information, feel free to click that subscribe button and maybe the bell. It really helps me out. See you for the next video tomorrow. Sloth out.